Hi, I'm Kristen Horler, and I just want to welcome you today to our Mom Strong Entrepreneur Network. This is episode 1, and we're excited for our guest today, Ms. Julie Henry. But before we jump into our interview, just want to encourage you to ask any questions that you have during the course of our interview today, or any follow-up questions that you have. Our goal here with the Mom Strong Entrepreneur Network is really to inspire moms to create the life that they want and to create that flexibility and time freedom to focus on the things that are most important to them. So let's go ahead and add Julie in here. Hi, Julie. How are you?
Hi. Hi, Kristen. Good. How are you?
Good. It's wonderful to have you here today on our Mom Strong Entrepreneur Network. So thank you for joining us.
Thanks for inviting me. I'm so happy to meet everybody virtually.
Yeah, so Julie is the founder and president of Finish Line Leadership. So Julie, can you share with us a little bit more about what you do?
Yeah, so through Finish Line Leadership, I really help leaders create lasting change. And what that means is change is really hard. And sometimes we get halfway through it and it's frustrating. Other times it feels like chaos. And so I really partner along with leaders, and that could be leaders of a company, leaders of a community organization, or leaders who want to inspire people on an individual level to help them get to the finish line. Because to get to the finish line, you have to start at mile 1, and I'm with you through the journey.
Well, it sounds like you are an athlete. Are you a runner, triathlete? What's your passion?
Yeah, I became an athlete after I became a mom. So the two are so closely linked in my heart. And it was through my unintended athletic journey. I started as a walker, became a runner, had a lot of personal challenges along the way. And every time I reach that finish line, it's a unique journey. And that just became such a strong analogy for me to use in reaching out to clients or just people to help inspire them to think differently about what they're doing. So yeah, I started as a walker, and I'm now a proud marathoner and a new triathlete, and it keeps me motivated.
That's great. That's great. That must be hard to juggle it all with your children. And what are their ages?
My children are 7 and 9.
Wonderful. Well, that's great. So tell us a little bit more about how you got to where you're at today with your business, because, we all start somewhere. Did you work for corporate America? Did you have a regular 9-to-5 job? Were you traveling? And where did you come from, and what inspired you to start to make a shift to create this life that you have today?
Yeah, it's such a great question, and you and I have such similar and inspiring stories, and that's how we've connected, and I so appreciate that, because the first thing I'll say is along your journey, keep talking to other moms, because you're going to find people, even if they don't have the same kind of journey that you do, somewhere along the line, they've realized that there's more burning in their spirit that they're meant to do. So I was the child of 2 entrepreneurs. My dad started his own business when I was 10. My mom has been tutoring, and she started her own tutoring business. So I think I was always born to be an entrepreneur, even if I didn't realize it. So when I got out of college, I had a regular, I can't even call it a 9-to-5 job, because I was working overtime and, really inspired. I was working for an aquarium in downtown Chicago, and I loved my work. I came down to Florida. I've worked in a lot of nonprofits. I've worked in corporate organizations. I worked in very small, very large. Busch Gardens was a very large corporate organization. But really, after about 15 years of working for other people, I recognized that, A, I wanted to give back in a new way. I wanted to share my passions, but also help people in a new way. And B, I just had my daughter, and I didn't really want to commute 59 miles each way anymore. And I had been in education most of my career. I'd been helping people learn how to take care of the environment better. And all of a sudden I had this little girl, and I thought, I can't have someone else raise her primarily. So I decided to leave my job, and that's when we met, and I became a baby boot camp franchise owner.
Wonderful. Well, lucky me. I remember that point of transition in your life. And I know, I can understand how difficult that would be to leave your child and to make that kind of commute, not just have that time away from your child, from your baby, with your transition to work, but also that commute time on top of that is tough. So Tell me a little bit more. I know that I had asked you to describe your business in 3 sentences or less, and your response to me was, I help leaders lead change. Can you help us understand that a little bit more and just elaborate further on how you help leaders lead change?
Yeah, so I can start telling you from my personal journey becoming a leader. There were times that I had to lead change. So whether that meant I had to develop a strategic plan, or I had to get people in a room to get everybody on the same page because people weren't agreeing about where we should be going, or I was, inspiring women to become more healthy, or teaching yoga. And in all of those cases, the change part was really difficult because it makes people uncomfortable. And for better or for worse, I'm really comfortable with change. And so when I partner with my clients, I am a lot of times facilitating a session for them to get everybody on board, listening and having conversations with different stakeholders to make sure they can weigh in and be a part of the process so they're bought in from the beginning. And then helping them develop a plan that most importantly can be implemented. So there's accountability and follow through, because just like everything in life, if you develop a plan and it sits on a shelf where you don't communicate that plan effectively, or you've never even taken time to assess where you've started from, that change is not going to be sustaining. And I'm interested in helping leaders implement sustainable change, lasting change. So it's not a program every month, it's a process. It's a process of taking people through it. And it's completely uncomfortable. And I can tell you that when I get in that room and I'm facilitating with people, or I'm delivering a keynote address and I'm talking about change and I see their faces get all like, ah, it reminds me of when I've taught yoga or taught running or taught baby boot camp, and people get all uncomfortable because they're doing something new. And that's when I know I've got them. That's the sweet spot that we can push through together, because that's one of my mottos. I want to make you feel safe, but not comfortable. And if I do that, I've done my job, because you're outside of your comfort zone.
I think that's so important, Julie, to focus on creating a safe place, creating a safe environment, because growing and creating change is really about being uncomfortable and pushing yourself outside of that comfort zone. Because if we stay all the time in our comfort zone, we're not growing, we're not learning, we're not developing, and we're not able to pour into others and grow and reach the goals that we have. So that's wonderful. I love that focus on that safe environment. So I love that. Can you share with us and our Mom Strong Entrepreneur Network what your greatest aha moment was with your business?
Yeah, for me, it was getting to the point that I felt safe but uncomfortable. So I was really safe in my profession. I loved what I did. I had a very strong network. And to me, networks and relationships are the basis of everything in life. And I will protect that till my dying day, the relationships that I build with people. But I got to the point where I just felt uncomfortable with making a switch. I knew I wanted to make a switch from what I told you before. I didn't want to commute anymore. I had a new baby girl. But I was really uncomfortable thinking, who am I? Who am I to stand up here and talk about change? Who am I to talk about leadership development? I mean, I don't know. I don't have 15 more degrees. I know I should go back to school and get 3 more certifications, 10 more degrees, and maybe then I will be the expert that they need. And while part of that is true, I did continue to go back to school and educate myself and get more certifications. I also had to call time out on myself and recognize that I think as women, as moms, we are oftentimes looking for validation from other people, whether that's a certifying agency or just someone down the road to say, yeah, you're doing a good job. I had to find it within myself. And along the way, I lost some friends. I lost some people in my network who didn't really understand what I was going for, but it was an aha moment because I recognized where I was headed and had to stay true to myself, even when it was completely uncomfortable.
That's so interesting what you were saying about how you lost some friends and some connections along the way with people, but I imagine you also grew a whole new network. Is that right?
Yeah, it was the recognition that even as an adult, relationships are so important, but some have sunrises and sunsets in your life. And so it was really important for me to have gratitude for that and honor that relationship and its purpose in my life and that client or that network or whatever that was. And so it was sad in some cases, but I had to recognize to grow or to let more things in my life, I can either add things in and stuff my life so full that I'm ridiculously busy and unfocused, or I can be grateful and let things go and make white space and allow new things in my life. And that took me some time to figure that out. But I'm so much happier recognizing that this is a pathway and people will enter my life when they're supposed to. And I can honor that process now.
That's great. That's so great that you recognize that. And it is a process. It is such a journey for all of us. So thus far in your entrepreneurial journey, what has been the biggest challenge for you?
You know, the biggest challenge for me is related to that honoring process that I talked about, because it sounds really awesome on paper. And when I read it in blogs and when other experts talk about it, it's really hard because I am, I think I'm genetically predisposed to be a people pleaser. And I want to serve my clients, my community, the people in my life as much as I can and help them along their journey. But there comes a point when you recognize that their endorsement is not everything and that some clients are not the right fit. And you start saying no, and you learn your lesson, and it will beat you over the head as many times as it needs to until you learn it. And I have loved all of my clients. It's not that I know people are going to be listening to this thinking, who's she talking about? But that's not what I mean. It's just, you get to that point like, gosh, this is what I'm going to do. And I'm not going to go down this pathway of waiting for someone to tell me I'm doing the right thing. As long as my family is on board, and even if not everybody in my family is on board, but if I'm on board and my husband and my 2 kids, like we all get it, this is best for our family, then that's what I need.
Right. And I think so much of what you're saying and what we're doing here with our Mom Strong Entrepreneur Network is to help other moms really discover what is important to them, what their values are, what their family values are, and then to pursue a career, whether it's part-time, full-time, or, 2 hours out of the month, that enables them to create this life that they want, that fulfills them emotionally, mentally, and financially as well. So I think that's a big part of this, and we appreciate you sharing your experience. So what advice would you give to other Mom Strong entrepreneurs?
I would say that every step in your journey is an important part of your story, and to own that fully and leverage it for where you want to go. So a part that we haven't talked about yet is after the birth of my daughter, I had a very severe case of postpartum depression. I was hospitalized with psychosis, couldn't be around knives, really, really scary things that I'm a pretty happy person by nature. So for me to suddenly feel like I can't even put one foot in front of the other and we have to move all the knives away was really scary for me and my family. But I went through that for a reason, and I'm very open about that because I want other moms to feel like they can talk about it, to feel like they can get help, but also that they can leverage it. And what happened to me is when I was hospitalized, they wouldn't let me go until I found a therapist. And thankfully, I found a therapist who understands postpartum depression, because that in itself is a whole other problem in our culture. But I found someone who understood it, and she said, I would recommend that you not make any drastic changes in your life at this point. And I said, the thing is, that's the only way I feel like I can get some control. So my story became, I have to make change because I don't know what else to do. So that's when I decided to leave my job. That's when I decided to become an entrepreneur, join Baby Boot Camp, start my strategic planning, facilitation, public speaking business. And there's a part of it, and I didn't understand it going through, and I didn't readily talk about it as much. And when I started my business, I didn't readily talk about being a mom. I would say I have, a meeting. I have to go at 3:00. And now, I have to go because I've decided today I'm going to pick up my kids from school, and that's just okay. And if you don't get that, then we're not meant to be together as clients and business owners. And that's okay, because you want people who get you for you.
Yeah, I think that's so good. I've learned to prioritize the things in my life that are important as well, and I put them on my schedule. You know, I leave the office every day at 4 because I want to pick up my children from the bus stop. That's something that's important to me. They're old enough to walk home on their own now. We live so close to the bus stop. It's kind of silly, but it's important to me. And I hear that too in what you're saying as far as prioritizing family first, but at the same time, not sacrificing things that are important to you. And I appreciate you sharing that about your experience with postpartum depression, because it is so prevalent. It is, a lot of times moms will ask me, or men will ask me, why are you focused on moms? Why not women? Why not everyone? The reality is I've been incredibly focused on the mom community, the new mom community, for well over 15 years when I became a mom. And I still now, after all these years, see that it is such an underserved market. Whether it comes to new moms, breastfeeding support, postpartum depression, or psychosis, or the baby blues, or fitness or nutrition, or that transition to going back to work, or figuring out life, it is such an underserved market. And I'm hoping that we can inspire some of the moms that we have contact with to move forward, whether it's to seek out some support if they're struggling with being a new mom, or to look into opportunities to create a more flexible schedule for themselves if going back to a 9-to-5 job or having to travel when their boss tells them to travel is not working well for them. And I think most moms really do struggle with that.
Mm-hmm. You know, the other thing, Kristen, I really appreciate what you're doing, because it's hard to find a supportive mom entrepreneur network. And I don't know if you had situations like this, but I had situations where I had other moms tell me, well, gosh, you know, your kids aren't going to be socialized because you didn't put them in full-time daycare. And then I had just as many people on the other side saying, well, your kids aren't going to be socialized because you're not spending any moment with them. And no one really gets the middle ground. I shouldn't say no one, a very small percentage really understand this middle ground and understand the pressure, because then you get, gosh, you're so lucky. You can completely control your own time, and you can decide who you can work with. And absolutely, I feel very lucky. However, I can control my own time. And if I have all my own time, then I don't have a business, you know? So it's a catch-22 on either side, and you have to choose every day to be joyful and grateful for the work that you've been honored and blessed to do. But it's a choice. And it's a choice that sometimes it's going to be 10 o'clock at night because your child was storing up all day. So you were on deck to stay home from school because, in my case, my husband had a really important meeting, so we trade. Yeah. Sometimes it's opposite. So I am just so thankful that you're creating something that's supportive, but also give somebody the nudge that they need to take that leap.
Exactly. Absolutely. And I'm so happy to hear you have a supportive husband, because I can tell you I wouldn't be where I am today if I didn't have a husband so supportive, constantly pushing me and saying, go, do, you know, inspire. And he believed in me before I believed in myself. And, you know, I think having a partner like that is so critical. So we're going to shift gears just a little bit and have a little fun with a few questions to get to know Julie Henry a little bit better. So Julie, if you woke up tomorrow and you had lost everything, you know, your house is gone, your job has disappeared, what would you do?
I would wake up and choose to be.
You cut out for just a second there, Julie. Might want to check your connection.
Oh, okay. It might be
there. That's better. You're back. Okay. So if you lost everything tomorrow, what would you do?
See, I made it a fill in the blank. People can decide what they want. If I woke up tomorrow and had lost everything, I would choose to be grateful that I still had my health, because that's the most important thing. Everything else can be rebuilt. I could rely on the relationships that I have, but the older I get and the more experiences I go through, the more I recognize value and am grateful for health and time. And that's, you know, I'd still be upset, don't get me wrong, but
of course,
I'd be just so thankful for my health.
Good. Well, that's great to hear. All right. So if you were stranded on a deserted island, what 3 things would you want to have in your backpack?
I would take my camera, which is not attached to my phone. It'd be my actual camera that I adore.
Wow. What kind of camera do you have?
I have a Canon SLR, which I I love. And I actually miss film, but that's okay. I can deal with the digital SLR.
All right.
And I would take my journal so I could record my experiences. And I would take my reusable water bottle because I would be spending most of the time in the ocean discovering what's in there.
Oh, I still have that passion, that draw towards the aquarium.
Yeah. You can take the girl out of the zoo or aquarium, but you can't take the zoo or aquarium out of the girl.
That's great. So be honest with all of the moms listening. How many hours of sleep did you get last night?
Well, last night is not a very fair question because there was a really big football game on, so I didn't go to sleep till 1. So
wow.
Yeah, I think I got 6 hours of sleep, which is not too bad, but it was tiring. Normally I think between 6 and 8 is a pretty good average for me, and sometimes I can squeeze in 9 on the weekends, but 6 to 8, I would really love 8.
Yeah, it's good. And to all the new moms that are listening today, please understand it changes as your children get older. My children now sleep through the night. Yay! And Julie, how about you? For the most part?
Yes, and we had to train them. I remember, just to share with the moms out there, that when my daughter was about 3, we finally had to make the rule that we put a digital clock in her bedroom, and we said, Tasman, you cannot come downstairs and be in our room until 7 a.m. She said, okay. So for the first night...
At 3 years old?
3.
Wow.
Yeah. So because she was very precocious and communicative, so she would come downstairs. Mama, it's 3 a.m., so I'm not going to stay. And then she'd go back upstairs and come downstairs. It's 4 a.m., I'm not going to stay. We were like, clearly we haven't thought this whole thing through.
Wow. Oh, that's too funny. All right. Well, last night wasn't a great example since you chose to stay up late, but it sounds like the average is getting a little closer to 8 hours, which is great. All right. So what is your favorite food? If we said, hey, let's go out to dinner, where would you want to go? What type of food?
It would be sushi, followed very closely with brownies and a nice glass of red wine.
Oh, so all of those. That sounds good.
Yeah, I just squeeze it all in there.
Making me a little hungry now. All right. So I just have 2 more questions and then we will say goodbye for the time being. What are you listening to right now? Are you listening to a podcast? Are you listening to a book? Are you reading a book? Is there something that is inspiring you right now this month that you want to share with our Mom Strong Entrepreneur Network?
I am reading The More of Less by Joshua Becker. So he's in the minimalism community, and I'm really enjoying that book because he's a dad, and he and his wife decided together to downsize, and he has 2 children. So I find his approach very practical. I find his mindset around less to be something that I want to embrace for my family. And it's definitely influenced the way I live my life and run my business, and fits into my word for the year, which is simple.
That's wonderful. I love it. I'm seeing so much right now about minimalism, and the hashtag I've been using quite a bit is less is more.
Yeah, I love that. I'm glad you're using that.
I hope I didn't steal your favorite quote, because that was my last question for you before we talk about how to get in touch with you. What is your favorite quote, Julie?
I have to say that this is not a quote by somebody famous, but what popped into my mind when you said that was something I read on a social media site, and it was from...
We lost you again. I think you just lost the connection.
No? Okay.
There, you're back. You're back.
Back. Okay, sorry.
Right.
So my favorite quote is something, it's not a very famous quote, but it's something that I read recently on social media, and it stuck in my head. And it was from a mom, and she said, I never realized I was a runner until I realized I had a runner's spirit. And I love that, and I embrace that in everything I do, because you can insert any noun in there, entrepreneur, even a mom, because I think sometimes the label is very scary to own or embrace, but then you recognize that deep down inside you have this fire burning and you can't put it out. And so you just embrace it and own it and live it.
I love it. That's beautiful. That fire in your belly. So Julie, before we say goodbye, can you let all of our listeners know the best way to get in touch with you?
Yeah. My website is juliechenry.com, or you can shoot me an email. Yeah, letter C. Or you can shoot me an email at julie@juliechenry.com. And I'd love to hear what you're up to, be your support. And I'm sure I'll connect with you through Kristen's network as well. But I so am excited to see your own journeys along the way.
Wonderful. Well, thank you, Julie Henry from Finish Line Leadership, for joining us today for our Mom Strong Entrepreneur Network interview.
Thanks for having me. It was wonderful.
Thank you. And thank you, everyone, for joining our broadcast today. Please join us next Tuesday at 3 o'clock Eastern for our next Mom Strong Entrepreneur interview. And be sure to check us out on YouTube. You can find us at Kristen Horler, or if you search for Mom Strong, Fitness, Nutrition, and Business for Moms. Hope you have a great afternoon. We look forward to seeing you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.